Today we're talking about domain and range of continuous functions with infinite intervals. So at the top here, to review, these are on your notes from the previous day, but this is all about interval notation. Now we're going to be talking about non-ending intervals. So these only have one endpoint. So instead of two endpoints of the function, or the relation, it's going to have an arrow on one end. So we're going to use negative infinity and infinity in the interval notation to indicate the direction of the function. We're going to always use parentheses when you use infinity. You're never going to use a bracket next to infinity. So let's look at just on a number line first. We worked on these when we were doing inequalities in Unit 1. So we have an open circle at 4, so that would mean it's a 4 with a parentheses, and we have an arrow going towards, remember, positive infinity is always on the right, and negative infinity is always on the left. So on the right side, you'll have infinity and a parentheses. Now in the next example, we have a closed circle, so that would be a bracket with the 4, and again, it's pointing toward positive infinity, so we would have a parentheses. Here we have an open circle at 4, so that would be a 4 with a parentheses, and the arrow's pointing toward negative infinity. So we would put negative infinity on the left with a parentheses. Remember, it's always least to greatest, so negative infinity is always going to be on the left, and positive infinity will always be on the right. For this one, we have a bracket and 4, and negative infinity on the left. So we need to associate domain with input and the x values. And range, I'm going to use a different color, range with output and the y values. So you're going to see those different phrases, and you're always going to remember that domain and input refers to the x values, and range and output refers to the y values. So let's look at these continuous graphs. We're going to state the domain and range using interval notation and determine whether it is a function. So for domain, we see that we have an open circle here at positive 2, so that's going to be a parentheses. And then we have an arrow that's pointing down and left, and this is going to continue on forever. So we're going to say that for the left, it's a negative infinity. So negative infinity 2 is the domain. The range, the top of the graph is here with an open circle, so that's going to be 0 with a parentheses. Actually, it's probably going to go on this side. And then again, it's going down towards negative infinity. Remember, this would be positive infinity. This is negative, positive. So for the range, it's going to be negative infinity to 2 with a parentheses. And this is a function. It passes the vertical line test. In number 2, I can already see this is not a function, does not pass the vertical line test. And the domain, the farthest left it's going to go is negative 1, and that will be a bracket because we don't see a hole in the graph there. And then it's pointing right, so it's going to continue to the right forever. That would be positive infinity. The range is actually going to go down and right forever and up and right forever. So my range will actually be negative infinity, positive infinity. Number 3, this is a function. It passes the vertical line test. My domain, I'm going left forever and right forever. So negative infinity, positive infinity. And because I'm going down forever and up forever, negative and positive. Number 4, yes, this is a function. This passes the vertical line test. The domain is going to continue left toward negative infinity and right toward positive infinity. And my range, -2 is the bottom, and it's going to go up forever in both directions. Okay, number 5. Yes, this is a function. It passes the vertical line test. My domain will go left and right forever. And my range is only one number, -4. So I can write this either as y equals -4 or curly brackets 4. Number 6. Okay, the domain is going to continue to go left forever and right forever. And my range will be here and here. Because if it continues this pattern, the farthest up it will go is 2, and the farthest down it will go is -3. There are no holes, so we're going to do brackets. And yes, this one is a function. So those are your continuous functions with infinite intervals.